Oh, there's a little shiny thing. All right, Jason Lucas here, Modern Dad Society. Daughter just graduated a few weeks ago. Today, we're going to be talking teachers, principals, and guidance counselors at the school. Don't get me wrong, I'll start this video by saying there's positives and negatives about all three of them. But we're going to focus on principals and guidance counselors because teachers will end with. So they have huge influence on our children for the 12 years that our children go through school. And we always try to teach our children to seek help or guidance and be accepting of that from adults in the right places: guidance counselors, teachers, principals, grandparents, actual parents. So in high school, we had a couple situations that were very frustrating, and us as parents, we have a extremely difficult job parenting our children to begin with. We don't need it complicated. We don't need it more complicated than it really has to be, and we don't want it overcomplicated by outside influence as well. So I'm fine with my child reaching out for help, guidance, as long as it's checked in with us as parents first before any life altering and life changing decisions are made, because we are ultimately still the parents and ultimately responsible and ultimately work our asses off day in, day out to raise our child properly or raise our child the way we think is proper, and to the best of our ability with the tools that we have. So, yes, I got notes again. So I just wanted to mention the first one is back in grade 11, our kid was struggling with math, and we're trying to help her out and teach her good study habits, try to teach her to persevere through, difficult tests, difficult learning, and whether it's math or even another subject. There's always peaks and valleys of some concepts you get, some you don't. But work hard, dedicate, persevere, and don't let one hardship derail you. So she reached out to guidance counselor for help, and even the teacher. And long story short, they guided her to drop out, due to her being in grade 11, failing in the first, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks. So like literally the first like unit test, a couple assignments, and like a quiz, where it's like that's only 25% of the entire semester of that course. So whatever they discussed and talked about, the teachers and guidance counselor essentially, you know, as a influential figure, almost convinced her in her head to drop out. And then she comes to us as parents and be like, "Hey, I'm dropping out." And we're like, "No, you're not." But the problem aligned was she got it in her head that she was going to drop out. So she started doing even worse purposely, knowing that, oh, her teacher and guidance counselor said she should drop out and she can do it again. There's enough time in later grade 11 and grade 12 to catch up. And all that was talked about and discussed in the school without fully consulting us as parents, because obviously our answer would be no. You just did the first round of tests, persevere, get through it. You have 75% of the rest of the math course in grade 11. So just finish it. Just because something's hard doesn't mean you blame it on anxiety and stress and you just quit. No, you persevere, you study harder, you learn better techniques, and you're not going to wake up knowing math concepts. You're not going to wake up knowing all this information. So it was it was extremely difficult that these influential figures did not consult us on this, I would say, life-changing decision, because this pushed her back quite far because of catching up with tests, catching up with marks, and catching up with courses that, it didn't allow her to, either have a spare or fun courses later on down the school years in grade 11 and 12. So it was just extremely difficult. And then when she did do the math again, it was the same difficulty. It was the same hard. It was everything was the same. It was just as stressful. But it's like persevered, and got through it. But it's like, the learning lesson is not if something's hard, drop out. No. So influential teachers and guidance counselors at school, consult the parents first. Another example was she was going into grade 12, and us as parents are like, just fill your schedule with the courses you need to graduate and some fun ones. But she went, guidance counselor, teachers, principal, and essentially guidance counselor leaned her toward taking a spare in grade 12. And I don't necessarily blame our daughter for having a spare and being like, oh, I want a spare, I want this, oh, I promise I'll study. It's like, I don't necessarily blame her, because as a kid, that's fun to have a spare in high school. Absolutely. But as a parent, it's like, no, you pack your courses, you dedicate, you persevere, you get through high school as much as you can with as many courses as you can, and not necessarily even the difficult, core subjects, like take foods, take gym, take sports therapy, take a course that's just fun, that's not stressful, that you don't have a ton of homework in, but at least it gives you experience in that chunk of education or sport or activity or passion. And who knows, you might like something. You might discover that, sure, psychology sounds horrific to start with, but then you take the course and she loved it. So when it comes to the guidance counselor being like, take a spare, it's like, well, of course she's going to promise she's going to study. I don't blame her for not studying. And it wasn't checked in with us as parents, because we would have said no. So guidance counselors, teachers, influential figures, check in with the parents before you push our kids to do something that we as parents don't agree with. Because once that train has sailed and all the schedule is made, there's really not much we as parents could do. And if we do, it is horrific for the next 3 months of that semester. So pump the brakes sometimes, check in with the parents as much as you can, because we all got to work together on this. It's not a battle between parents, teachers, the schooling, and the parents. It's not a battle. We need to work together to raise or guide our kids to the best of our ability. And ultimately, it's up to the parents' decision when it comes to our kids and comes to how we want them to be parented and how we want to push them as much as we can through life, through school, through hardships, to let our kids know that it's okay. You don't just give up. You get through it, because this won't be the last time you're faced with a difficult challenge that, yes, you have a choice of dropping it, doing something different, or getting through it, having that dopamine hit of success, achievement, which drives your personality, which drives your spirit, and which drives you toward even more difficult things, where then you get what you want, whether it's money, job, hobbies, passions, sports. There's lots of places where you hit that challenge, you get through it, you get over it, and you're so much better on the other side. So that's the takeaway for today. So when life hits you with a roadblock or something challenging, face it head on. Don't look for an easy way out or look for a way around it. Modern dad society, it's always difficult parenting. It's always difficult making those decisions. Don't regret what you do. Be confident, push through it, and we'll all be better on the other side. Thanks, everyone. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Love to have you guys on. Next video, next short. Enjoy the weekend. See you guys.